like, oh, I'm not sure that you should be telling everybody this. I'm not sure the kids are going to get some ideas from you in a way. And so, yeah, she told me about some of those stories. Now, I would keep sharing those stories with people. And I remember going on and talking about another idea of just how I would have, you'll probably lose respect from me here, but how I'd have my friend come and hit me with my car. Like, I wanted to be a stuntman. And so I would run, and literally, like, not real fast. I probably wouldn't be here. But he comes up there and hits me, and I roll up on my car and fall off. And I was doing this before, like, Johnny Knoxville and all this on MTV. And I was like, man, if we had phones back then, like we had cameras and I could record all this stuff, I'd be showing this to people. But I look at stories like that, and probably a lot of us, we have some type of stories, maybe not exactly the same way as that, but you have stories, you have things that you've done in the past that maybe you're kind of questionable, you laugh about in some ways. And I'll say this, like, if you grew up in church, maybe you were taught to ask for forgiveness for some of the things that you did. In some way or another, whatever things that you did, you asked for forgiveness in some of that stuff, whatever things that you were. I didn't have like a Christian family, but I did have, I understood a little bit about God. I knew the concept of asking for forgiveness and a little bit about God, even though it was very limited, but I knew about that. And I would do some certain things, that I would ask. Now, again, with all the kids in here, like I remember being, even in first grade, don't be like me. Don't be like me. But I remember, like, even in first grade, I didn't grow up in a Christian home, and we would go around and we'd say bad words, I guess I'll say. And the way we thought it was okay is if we went out and we just really kind of know, we'd slap our heads and say, sorry, God. That was our thing. We would just go out and say as many words as we could and slap our heads. Sorry, God. We laughed about it. We didn't think it was all that bad. I don't think we were really all that apologetic or whatever. But yeah, first grade. What else did I know? So we do things like this. Now, I'm an adult now. Most of us are adults here. A lot of our things that we have going on in our life, probably a little bit more different than that. We have things that go on that we maybe need to ask for forgiveness in some way, things that we've done that have a whole lot more consequences than what we've done as a little kid. Some things maybe I feel like that we could have that just hidden away that we don't want anybody to know about. We're not going to bring it out and laugh about it with people because we're going to hide those off to the side and we just don't want anybody to know about it. And maybe we have humiliation or shame or just feel like we're alone and we just back away and don't want anybody to know about all those things. I think that's how we are sometimes. Just different type of issues now. On the other side, you may have somebody that, when I'm talking about forgiveness, that you say there's no way that I'm going to forgive that person. Or maybe later on there's going to be something that happens and you look at them and you say, there's no way. As I'm up here talking about forgiveness, you say there's absolutely no way. It's incomprehensible to think about being able to forgive this person for whatever that they've done. Maybe that's going on. Maybe we have some things like that going on in our life and we just want to hold on to that unforgiveness in some ways. You don't even have to be a religious person to see that there are benefits in forgiving people, not holding on to unforgiveness. I went and I read some things about it. Just unforgiveness, it just holds in stress and sadness and anger and just sleepless nights. And all this stuff just kind of builds up. And just going back to the Bible, I'd say God knows this stuff, and He doesn't want us to just bottle ourselves down with all this anger and all this unforgiveness inside of us because it's not healthy in any way. So there's no good in that. But I do want to look at really what the Bible has to say about this. I want to look at really what Jesus has talked about this, when he talks about forgiveness, and look at what he has to say, because I think that's the most important. And like I would say, even if we're not a Christian, even if you're talking to somebody who's not a Christian on this, I think it's important for us to see just how much God loves us and just how much He has forgiven us. I think it's important for us to look at that. So here's the first thing I would say. Put it up there. First thing, this would be, I would say, the big thing here that I would want you guys to understand today is just throw out your preconceived ideas of forgiveness and just hear what Jesus has to say. That's what I want us to kind of look at today, is just throw out, well, we've got these preconceived ideas of what forgiveness is. Maybe it's something that somebody's taught you as you were growing up. And I think all of us in some way, we've got some messed up idea of how we should forgive or how God forgives us, and we're holding on to those things. And I think a good practice for us to do would be kind of put those to the side and actually go to the Bible and see what God has to say to us. So we're going to be in Matthew chapter 18 today. I've been going through this series on parables. Just started it last week, but we're going to be looking at some of the stories that Jesus was going and he was talking to people, and he was sharing these things. And so I want to see what he has to say here. See this story that he puts out there to try to answer a question for people and understand what he's trying to say to us about this. So look at Matthew 18, verses 21 through 22. So then Peter came up to Jesus and asked, Lord, how many times shall I forgive my brother or sister who sins against me? Up to 7 times? Jesus answered, I tell you not 7 times, but 77 times. And I'll stop there for a second. Now, there's different translations I know. And some of them say, mine says, it says 77. Some of them say 70 times 7. I mean, which is it? I don't know if you're questioning on that. Is it 77 times? Is it 490 times? If we get caught up on the numbers of this, then we're completely missing this whole thing. If we get caught up on thinking, okay, there's a certain amount of times here, then we're missing the whole thing of what Jesus is trying to say to us. Let me just give you some background on what Peter's saying here. He comes in and he says, what is it? Is it 7 times? Jesus? Here's the idea of what the rabbis would teach in the day. They would go up there and they would say it's 3 times is enough to really forgive people. That's all you have to do. 3 times and you're covered. 3 strikes and you're out. So that's what he's going off of. Everybody knows. They're like, okay, if you're going to go up and forgive somebody, just give them those 3 times. Okay, you messed up once, I'll give you 2 more times. You did it again. You've got 1 more chance and they do it, and then you're out. And so he's coming up there. I think he's thinking, I'm going to get some bonus points with the Son of God here. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know what kind of candy he's going to throw him away or whatever. But I'm going to come to him, and he says, okay, Jesus, how about this? How about 7 times? He said, I'm going to double the number that everybody thinks and add 1 for good measure here. 7 is the complete number. Maybe he's got a little understanding of the Bible. He's like, okay, 7 is the complete number. 6 is man. It's incomplete. 7, this is complete. This has got to be what it is. I'm going to get some bonus points here. All you other guys watch this. However he's thinking there. So he puts it out there, and Jesus is like, it's not 7 times. And he goes, 77, 70 times 7, whatever. What he's saying here, what we've got to understand is it wasn't this number. He's not giving them a certain number. Like, once you get to this point, it's a little higher, Peter. He's saying, no, it's forgive. And forgive, and forgive, and on and on and on. And I think that's the whole thing of what he's trying to get us to see. It's not a certain number. It's not when we get to this number, then you can stop forgiving people. He said forgive, on and on and on. Do not stop. That's the whole point of it. That's what he's trying to get us to see here, is like we want to continue to forgive people. And put this next point up there. We shouldn't keep track of how many times we forgive. If you just want to write those things down there. It's not a certain number. It's not... When we get to this point, we can stop there. And that's what he's trying to get us to see. And that's what I want us to understand about this. Before we even come to understanding it, I think we just got to understand this right there. We continue to forgive on. If we want to love and be the way that Jesus is telling us to, and do the way that he did for us, it's continue to forgive people on and on and on. That's what he's saying there. Let's read a little bit further now as we get into this, because Jesus is going to give a story here. Matthew 18:23 through 27. He said, therefore the kingdom of heaven is like a king who wanted to settle accounts with his servants. As he began the settlement, a man who owed him 10,000 bags of gold, some of them say 10,000 talents, was brought to him. Since he was not able to pay, the master ordered that he and his wife and his children and all that he had be sold to repay the debt. At this the servant fell on his knees before him. Be patient with me, he begged, and I'll pay back everything. The servant's master took pity on him, canceled the debt, and let him go. Have you ever had any debts canceled in some way? I was trying to think of some kind of debts. I've had people come in and maybe pay for meals and do different things. It's always really nice when you're not counting on it, when somebody comes in and pays for something. But we rented, I've seen it before, and it's kind of stereotypical, I'm a pastor, but we rented Guys Aren't Dead 2, and we were going to watch the other night. We didn't even watch it, we rented it. I actually watched Civil War, the Avengers movie, and I haven't watched it yet. But we rented those movies, and I remember Alyssa looked at it, and she was all excited because she was looking in through the cover of the red box, and she was like, there's money in there. And I was like, what? No, it's fake. It's probably one of those, sometimes Christians will put those tracts out that have money on them. And I'm like, don't do that, because that just makes people mad. You put like a $100 bill, open it up, and it's like, it's not money, but hey. It wasn't one of those. I thought it was. And it was actually $2, and it had a sticky note in there that said, enjoy a free movie on us, have a blessed day. And I was like, well, that's really cool. It's something small, but things like that, it's kind of a cool thing, just to see somebody do something like that when you're not expecting. When somebody pays for some meal, when somebody pays for some debt that you have, and they cancel it out, it's always a huge thing. I always love things like that when somebody does it. So, that's the idea here. This guy, okay, picture the understanding right here with this guy. He said this talent, this was the highest kind of monetary unit that they measured with here. And this guy had 10,000, mine says bags of gold. It was 10,000 talents. to give some perspective on this, it says that, I read that King Herod annually from his whole kingdom got 900 talents from his people, I believe it was. 900 talents from his whole kingdom. I mean, that's a lot. He's a king. He's getting all this from everybody. 900 talents. This one, look what it says, 10,000 talents. This was a huge debt. And I think the idea, what we've got to understand is that this was unpayable. This wasn't just a high debt. This just wasn't something like, okay, you can pay this off in a little while. This was unpayable. There was absolutely no way he could do this. I read something, too, to try to figure out how much that would be. And they said a day laborer's work, like how much they got paid, to pay this off. Because remember what he says? He goes up to the king. He's like, he's desperate right here. And he's thinking, he's like, give me some time. Just be patient with me, and I'm going to pay this back. Well, I read something, and they said, to try to put this into perspective, they said this was about like, if a day's worker, like labor, and how much he would make, he said it would be about 200,000 years to pay this off. So now you go back and you look at this guy, and he's before the king. I mean, he's desperate, and he's like, just give me some time. Please be patient with me, and I'll pay this back. And you can just imagine the king's like, how patient can I be with you? You know, you're going to be paying this back to my great-grandkid, like to the 20th power. You know, it's going to be a long time before you can ever actually pay this back. Basically saying he could not pay this back. So this guy's desperate. This guy's desperate. He's before the king there, and I think he's just there, and he's thinking about his life. I mean, can you just imagine this amount of debt? You're there, and basically it's like, my whole life has changed. Everything's changed now. This is bringing my family into this. I've messed up so much. I think this is what he's thinking. I've messed up so much that my family's in this. They're in slavery now because of what I've done. I brought them in, and now there's no way we can repay this back. And so he's there. He's desperate before the king. Please be patient with me. I can pay this back. I'll do whatever I can. And he's there, and he's in this most desperate moment. And the king, who had no obligation to do this, goes to him and says, we're going to wipe this out. We're going to wipe this whole thing out. Can you imagine, like, just the change of where this guy is? He's there. His whole life has changed, and he's thinking, he's probably just, this is a dream. And now the king's like, I'm going to wipe this out. Are you being serious? Are you part of it? Or what are you saying here? Like, just, what is he doing? Wiping it completely out. That's what he's saying here. Completely wiping out. Completely changing everything. Completely changing. This guy's emotional. It probably had to be a roller coaster with his emotions going on there. And this is where you and I come into the story here, because you and I are like this guy here with this unpayable debt. And put that up there, actually, this next point there. We have a debt we cannot pay. That's what he's trying to get us to see about this. We have this debt. You and I, we have this debt that is absolutely impossible for us to pay back. You can't pay it back. I mean, it's like this guy. I mean, if you think about it, 200,000 years. Even if we go back to the early Old Testament days, you know, Methuselah didn't live 200,000 years. I mean, this is unpayable, and that's what he's trying to get us to see here. Look at this in Psalm 103:12 to kind of get an idea of what it is. I love this. You know, is it Third Day sings a song like this? As far as the east is from the west, so far has he removed our transgressions from us. Now, have you thought about, why didn't he say from the north to the south? You know, just east and west. Because east and west don't meet. I mean, that's the point of it. East and west, it's like it's always going to be away from each other. And I think that's the idea of what he's trying to get us to see, is that you're not, these sins, these things that you have, these wrongs, you know, he's removed them from our life. He's picked them up from our life and completely removed them. They cannot meet with us again. He's completely wiped them out. And that's a huge thing. That's the kind of grace that this guy's feeling at this point here. His life is basically taken from him. And now he's removed it. He's given him grace. He's helped him out. Look a little bit further here in Colossians chapter 2. This is more of looking at like a trial, I think, as we look about our sins. He said, when you were dead in your sins and in your uncircumcision of your flesh, God made you alive with Christ. He forgave us all our sins, having canceled the charge of our legal indebtedness, which stood against us and condemned us. He's taken it away and nailing it to the cross. And so just picture yourself in a trial. You know you're guilty. The judge knows you're guilty. The jury knows you're guilty. Everybody there knows that you're guilty. That's the picture of it, is that we know we're guilty. There's absolutely no way out of this. You're there. You're at the mercy of this court right now, and there's no way around it. It's not a possibility. It's like everybody knows you know that you're guilty. There's no way to get around this, and you're there. But then in a huge change, the judge comes up and says, somebody's paid for this. You deserve this. There's absolutely nothing that you've done that's right. You deserve this, but it's been removed from you. And you're there. Can you imagine the change and how that just affects your whole life? And it's like, he's done this for me when I don't even deserve this. This is what he's saying. This is the point of the story here. We're condemned already. We need to be locked up forever and ever. And that's what he's trying to get us to see. That's what he's trying to get us to see throughout this story. Now, I have I didn't just leave old glasses in here. I'm doing a little science experiment. And I told some people, I got C's and D's in science, so if something happens here. Now, I don't want this to be like a youth group type of thing. Forgive me for that. But I want you guys to see like a picture of this. Like, I want it to be etched in your mind. I can come up here and talk all I want. But I think things like this, even though it's something you may do like in youth group or kids group or whatever, I want us to just really picture this of what he's done for us. How it is. We have sin in our life. We're messed up. We have no hope here. And so I want to give us this. Okay, this is us. Us. Hopefully that's good. Sin. And then we have sin. We have a little bit of sin in our life. Hopefully this goes right now. And that much, how it affects us. Let's give it a little bit more. I mean, and that's where we are. We see this. And again, I want this to just be etched in our mind of what he actually does for us. And how he changes, how he wipes away. He doesn't just kind of push him to the side and say you're okay, but he just comes into our life and completely, removes it all. It just completely wipes it out. I'll put a little bit more, make it a little more clear. I think that's, I don't know, I love the picture of that and what we've got to understand about that and what Jesus comes in and actually does for us. I need more of that. Forget that part. That right there. That's what I can see inside. See, I want you guys to should have stopped when I was ahead. But look.
It takes more Jesus.
It takes more Jesus. Yeah. Now it's all wet up here and it's video. But I want that to be etched in your mind. The first two parts. He wipes it out. He goes in there, and that's the picture of it, of what he does. He doesn't just partially do it. He completely wipes out all of it. And that's that verse. He says he moves it from as far as the east is from the west. He removes it from our life. That's our sin that's in our life. We're just like this guy who deserved nothing. We didn't deserve any kind of forgiveness in any possible way. But he came into our life, and he says, I'm going to remove this from you. I'm going to remove this from your life so that it's not there anymore. You're not thinking about it, and you're not thinking, I'm not good enough for this, because we're not good enough for it. But he loved us that much. Let's read a little bit further here in Matthew 18. But when the servant went out, he found one of his fellow servants who owed him 100 silver coins. Okay, this is a whole lot less than what he owed. He grabbed him and began to choke him. Pay back what you owe me, he demanded. His fellow servant fell to his knees and begged him, be patient with me, and I will pay it back. But he refused. Instead, he went off and had the man thrown into prison until he could pay back the debt. When the other servants saw what had happened, they were outraged and went and told their master everything that had happened. Then the master called the servant in. You wicked servant, he said, I canceled all that debt of yours because you begged me to. Shouldn't you have had mercy on your fellow servant just as I had on you? In anger, his master handed him over to the jailers to be tortured until he should pay back all he owed. This is how my heavenly Father will treat each of you unless you forgive your brother or sister with your heart. This guy's debt was basically about 100 days worth of work. So this guy, he actually could pay this back. The other guy's impossible for him to ever pay that back. This guy's, it was a debt. I mean, it's still a debt. I'm not pushing that away, but it was like 100 days. Like he actually could pay this back. And he goes after the one who'd been forgiven so much, goes out there now, and he forgets everything. He goes to this guy and says, pay back everything. And when the guy says, please have mercy, I can get this back to you. He forgot everything. Forgot what had been done for him. This huge debt that had been wiped out. Now he's going in and pay this back. Throws him in prison. I think you and I are that way many times. I've been there so many times. I'm that way when I hold back forgiveness from people. I hold it back. God has forgiven me of so much. When I think about just the numbers with Peter and the numbers that he was talking about, 77, 490, whatever. That's I've already passed all those. So if it was a number, I'm glad it's not that, because I've passed, way surpassed all those numbers. I'm glad it's not a number. He's forgiven me. He's wiped it all out. I don't deserve it. I still mess up. I'm still imperfect. So I'm glad he's not holding me accountable for that. But look at this last point here that I would say up there. Remember how much God has forgiven you. To me, I think that's extremely important for us to go into our life. That's the point. That's what he's saying here with this story, with this guy. What he's saying there is, don't forget this. You're going to go out there and you're going to have people that are going to mess up. You're going to have people that are going to say things to you. And I'll just say this, I'm not downplaying anything. People maybe have done things to you that are horrible. Us forgiving them does not say that it's right. You go up and forgive somebody does not make it right. Does not make it okay that they did that. Or maybe something that's going to happen later on. But what he's saying, it's not always easy to follow Christ in what he's saying. Christ, we put Christ on the cross. We're the ones who put him there because of our sin. We put him on the cross, and he's forgiven us. And he came back and he wiped out everything. He wiped out our debt. We've messed up. We deserve to be locked up and thrown away. And he's done that for us. And this is what he's saying. He said, if you want to follow me in this way, I want you to learn to forgive others. I want you to learn to go out there and have compassion on people. Look, regardless of what somebody may have told you and some messed up understanding of forgiveness that somebody's told you, or maybe how God forgives us, or he's holding back all these things. Maybe you've got this picture of God up there, and he's looking at you, and what you see in your life and all this messed up is you see shame, you see guilt, you see no hope, you see all of this out there. Here's what happens. This is the huge thing I think we've got to understand. Maybe we all do here, but we've got to get other people, honestly, to understand this too, is that when we come to Christ, he doesn't see all that. Well, when we come to Christ, God doesn't see our condemnation, doesn't see our shame, doesn't see all those things that we see that we're hiding back there. He sees grace, he sees love. What we should be seeing, forgiveness. And that's the picture with this guy there. It's such an amazing picture of what God is showing us. We're that guy. We're the one who doesn't deserve any of that forgiveness. But when we come to know Christ, I mean, that's what happens. He wipes it all away. So many verses. I read a few in there, but just countless verses. And I don't know if you're like me, but sometimes I forget this. And I go on about my life and I forget this, that God has forgiven me. God has graced me. He's far greater than all of this. If the creator of the universe does not condemn you when you come to know him, if the creator of the universe does not condemn you, then who can? We try to do that. We look at ourselves and we push ourselves down. We allow other people to push us down. We try to condemn ourselves. We say, I'm not good enough. I'm not great enough. I can't possibly be loved by God. But if the creator of the universe will not condemn us, then who can? And that's what we've got to understand. That's what we've got to just cling on to. And that's what you and I, not just hold it there, not just be excited about that and be happy, but we've got to take that to other people as well. You've got to take that forgiveness to people and share it to them, even though they don't deserve it. Even though they've messed up and they do not deserve it, we're called to go to them and give that same type of grace and forgiveness to people and give them hope. That's what he's calling us to do. You guys, I'm going to do a prayer here in a second. And I know John will come up here. I believe we're going to do a song. But right after I pray here, I want to have just this quick little video here. I just want you guys to think about this. I don't know where you are. I don't know what you're going through. I don't know. I think forgiveness is a tough thing. Christians and non-Christians. I believe sometimes there's things in all of us maybe we don't even know about. And it's been my experience in church that there's been so many people in church that just kind of hold things back and you don't even know about it. There may just be things going on in your life that you don't want anybody to know about. There may be people that you're holding on to that sometimes we don't even realize how much unforgiveness we're holding on to and we're not allowing to give to people. And other times I think we've just got this wrong picture of God, of him always pointing his finger down on us when we mess up. It's such a small picture of who God really is. He's far greater than that. He's far greater than our small pictures of him being unforgiving and just looking down on us. He's forgiven. He's wiped it out. He says, I've canceled the debt. When you come to know me, doesn't mean we live freely and do whatever we want and mess up. But we don't hold on to that. God has wiped it out. He's wiped out your sin. He's wiped it out when you come to know him. And I want us to understand that. But we've got to understand it, but then we've got to take that to other people. So I just encourage you, whatever it is you're holding on to, if there's some type of unforgiveness, some type of forgiveness you need to give somebody, or something you need to understand better about God, you just need to turn it over to him. Let's do that today. Look at this video, and after we do that, right? Then we will have a song, and then if you guys want to come up here and pray, I always open it up. If you guys want to do that, and I keep forgetting to mention that. But if you guys want to text any questions or whatever to me, you guys are welcome to do that, and I'll get to that at the very end. But I just want you guys to take this time right now and just pray to God. Think about the words He's saying here, and take some time here just to focus on God and listen to what He's saying, and then we're going to sing.
Is to believe that God's disappointed and frustrated. That He simply is tolerating us. The Apostle Paul in Ephesians 1 says, no. Before the foundation of the earth was laid, He was going to adopt you, make you holy and blameless in His sight. So whether difficult days or good days, God's at work. God has not abandoned you in this difficult season. How amazing does that make our God, that in our hypocrisy He's long-suffering with us. In our inability to live out all that He would call us to, He continues to lavish upon us His grace. In Him we have redemption through His blood, the forgiveness of our trespasses, according to the riches of His grace, which He lavished upon us in all wisdom and insight. So I love this word lavish, extravagant, plentiful, over the top. And so now when the Bible's talking about forgiveness, it's saying that His grace in forgiveness is lavish, like it's too much, like it's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous amount, right? It's way, it's over the top. It's out of control. Man or woman of God in Christ but struggling, God does not regret saving you. He doesn't regret it. You haven't surprised Him. You cannot surprise Him. God is not watching where you are now, watching how you struggled this week, watching how you stumble and fall, and regretting the decision to pay the price for you in full. You have no sin, past, present, and future, that has more power than the cross of Jesus Christ. None. This means that your salvation wasn't just a past event alone, but that Christ even now is continuing to save you. He didn't forgive your past sins and now leaving it up to you to conquer present and future sins. Which means it doesn't matter how you came in here. It means God can rescue. It means God can save. And it means for those of us who are in Christ, you do not discuss it. You do not discuss it. You don't know what I struggle with and how horrible it is. I know that Jesus would say that He paid the bill in full, and so what you're saying is nonsense. That is the grace with which He lavished on us in His forgiveness.
What an incredibly powerful thought that is. That God has forgiven us so incredibly much.
Lover of my soul, I want to tell you, only you have all of me. I cannot contain my adoration. I'm in love so desperately. No one is as lovely as you are. There is no one else who has my heart. Jesus, you have me completely. Every breath that I breathe, I that I breathe, I am absolutely in love. Jesus, I am yours forever. All of me surrenders. I am absolutely in love. It's Jesus, I am yours forever. All of me surrenders. I am absolutely in love with you.
All right. We're glad everybody made it here today. I was wondering if the question was going to be, what ingredients that I use. Yeah. So next time I will use more Jesus. That's the story of it, is you need more Jesus in that. But, anyway, glad you guys are here. Just I don't know if there's anything going on with our church. We are still moving forward. We're trying to get the plans moving for that. So keep praying for that. I always just ask you guys to remember that, our building, and that we get plans kind of done for that, and then we can get the contractor going in there and fixing up the walls and get everything going there. So just keep praying for us and keep praying for God to keep working through us, and I think He is. I'm excited for everything that He has been doing through us. But anyway, if you guys have any questions, you guys can talk to me about that as we leave here. But I'm going to go ahead and close this in prayer. I don't think there was anything else I need to. Nicaragua. Yes, Nicaragua. We're going on that next summer. It's going to be July 4th through the 11th. And we're going to be it's next Sunday. We're going to try to do it after the service. We have a meeting, just our first one. So anybody who wants to be able to do that, come here next Sunday, and we'll give you guys some more information about what we're going to be doing and kind of what you'll be needing to go through with that and stuff. But yeah, we'd like to get a lot of people going there. There's different ideas. We met with them about either building a house, building just a feeding center, and different things that they have going on over there. So that'll be next Sunday. We'll do it after church, and I'm going to be working on seeing if we can just stay in here, which probably shouldn't be a problem. We can stay here, maybe have some food, some snacks and stuff, and we'll talk about that. But ask us about that if you have any questions. Other than that, I'm going to close this in prayer, and then you guys can just get up and talk with each other and pray for the people. I know we had a lot of people gone today, so just remember them. Father, thank you for bringing us here today. Thank you so much for your forgiveness. Thank you so much for that. God, I love reading these stories that you try and just get us to understand how much you love us and how much you have forgiven us. We've messed up. All of us have messed up, and nobody is good enough. We can't earn our way up there to your love and affection, and you're not asking us to do that. It's impossible for us to do that. I pray we would understand that. But you don't want us to just focus on that. You want us to focus on you and how much that you love us when we turn to you. Help us to understand that, because I think some people have pulled away from you because they feel like they're not good enough, and that you're up there just pointing at all of our mistakes and all that, and you don't want to do that. You want us to come to you and turn to you and see that we need you. Help us, everybody here, understand that, but help us to take that message out to the world that needs to hear about you. There's so many people that are hurting and in pain and just don't know what you've done for them, and we've got to show them. So God, give us that drive and that compassion to go and talk to people wherever they are and tell them about you, God. Thank you so much for what you've done for us. Jesus, thank you so much for going to the cross for us when we didn't deserve it. But you took our place. You died for us, and I thank you so much for that. Be with us now, whatever we're all facing, whatever we have to go through throughout the week. Give us strength and help us to know you're with us. And I pray that us as the church will be there for each other as well and we'll encourage each other. God, be with our church. Help us to grow. Help us to be ready and prepared for all the things that you want to do through us, God. I believe you've got a lot planned, and you're preparing us now, God. I pray that you would help us out. Bring us to everybody that you want us to build our team and to build up everything that you want to do here, God, and just help us make a difference here in Victoria and in all the areas around here, God. Just however big you want us to be, God. We just want to follow your will and what you want us to do, God. Be with us. Thank you so much for all you do for us. We pray in your name, Jesus. Amen. Dismissed. Thank you.
Sit here and stare at you for 30 minutes.
That was iodine. Yeah. It's iodine and bleach, if you're wondering. And water. I needed more bleach. I just need to do better. We're going to get the bleach.
Oh, okay, I get it now.